が消えかかるそれがオレンジャー熱い血流れる鋼のマシン
Welcome to the Super Sentai Brothers. This is episode 44 for Your Eyes Ohranger, the internet's best and only podcast dedicated to Chouriki Sentai Ohranger. Every week we watch an episode of the show, we share our thoughts with you, the listener. My name is Matt J, and with me as always is my co-host and brother Dave. Dave, how you doing today, bud?
Not bad, man. Not bad. Just sort of chilling.
Nice. We have a rare afternoon recording today.
Yeah, we do. Well, Beth is trying to get the babies down for a nap, and they are fighting like unreasonably hard. Like, it doesn't even make sense. Like, they're tired. It's well past their nap time.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I also stay up when I am tired past my bedtime. But that Dave is a problem for a different podcast, a theoretical podcast that does not exist about your children not sleeping.
I mean, listen, something not about my children necessarily, but somebody definitely does that podcast.
Oh,
like,
sure.
I guarantee it. I mean, I don't listen to it. Maybe I should.
You don't have time to. You're busy trying to put the kids down.
I don't have time to. I'm trying to record this podcast and get the babies to sleep.
Speaking of this podcast, Dave, this week we are watching episode 44 of Chouriki Sentai Ohranger. It is called The Strongest Beauty on Earth. It rules. But before that, Dave, as always, shining in the heavens, there are 5 stars. Would you like to know what the first star of the week is?
Yes, do. Please tell me.
Dave, the first star of the week is that I got me a new robe.
Oh, nice. I just got new slippers.
Oh,
That's not part of the star. I did just get slippers, though.
No, I got new slippers last year. I have been meaning to get a robe for a very long time. Because it gets cold in my apartment in the winter. But I didn't want to get like a terry cloth bathrobe because I didn't want to just like sit around in my house in a bathrobe.
Yeah, no, you don't want to do. That's not your best life.
No.
Like, listen, if that's what you're gonna do, like, it's not gonna hurt you.
Right. But I realized this year that what I could do is I could get like I had been trying to find something that I don't think like really exists anymore, sort of like a 60s smoking jacket housecoat sort of thing. And I've looked around and nothing of that stripe exists that isn't like a costume, really.
Really?
Nothing that I was able to find. I looked for a couple of years. So this year...
No, I mean, I guess I believe you. It just seems like something that should exist. You know what I mean? Like, there can't be...
I think it exists if you are Hugh Hefner and have been buying them from the same people for 70 years or something. But for me, just trying to like find one, like I was unable to do it online at least. But this year I just went to llbean.com and I just bought a robe from there. And Dave, it is so warm and it is so soft. But here is the thing I really want to talk about. Is that LL Bean, which of course stands for Ladies Love Bean, will monogram anything that you buy from them for $8 American. So not only did I get a new robe, Dave, I did get that monogram, and like it is.
See, that is living your best life.
Yeah,
that's
like
yeah, definitely. And definitely get that robot for $8?
$8.
It's nothing.
I did not realize that I was a monogrammed robe guy until I saw that little checkbox like, hey, do you want to have that robe monogrammed? And then I realized like, oh, of course I'm a monogrammed robe guy. I've always been a monogrammed robe guy. I've just not owned a monogrammed robe until this point. Like, and now I'm wondering like, am I a monogrammed other things guy? Like, am I gonna, like, the next time you come over to my apartment, am I gonna have, like, replaced all of my hand towels? Who knows? Who knows, Dave? This is a bold new experiment. And perhaps a new stage in my life that I'm entering. But yeah, that is the first star of the week, and it is a comfy star. Dave, what is our second star of the week?
Well, it's actually, okay, so this is, it turns out we have a semi-theme going on here, because this is also a sort of, like, adultish I feel like having a monogrammed robe is like an adult thing.
I mean, I don't know any teens with monogrammed robes.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm saying. So this is another adult thing that Beth and I have recently started doing. I just have the teachers union that I'm part of. Like, we have a credit union, right?
Sure.
Anyways, I have just discovered for myself that if I take money directly out of my paycheck and I put it into this credit union, because like it's not super easy to get at. Like they don't give you a debit card and there's no ATMs. Like if you want money out of it, you have to call ahead and like go to the office and they'll give you a check like to cash to like your regular bank, I guess.
Okay.
And so I have just discovered that if I take money out of my paycheck and I just directly put it into that account, it's very easy for me to save money.
Because
and
it's
kind
very
of the easiest.
difficult for you to get the money out.
Right, it's difficult for me to get the money out, and if it doesn't show up in my paycheck, then I'm happy, right? Like I just didn't kind of know that I had access to it, and then like if I need it, I can go get it.
Sure, in my experience, there are like money that belongs to you exists in 3 states. Either it exists in like a bank account that is difficult to access, where like you have it, but it kind of like doesn't exist. It exists in your checking account, and that is all the money that actually exists. And then there's the money that is like the cash in your pocket, and that exists, but it doesn't actually count.
Yeah, that money, cash, which is also why I don't like carry cash around in my pocket. Because it doesn't count. Somehow the physical money counts less. You would think that it would be the reverse, but it's not the case.
The thing that my brain does is that the amount of money that is in my checking account is the amount of money that I have. And
that's it. So if the money's in my pocket, then it's already gone from my checking account. So like it may as well.
Right.
Yeah, it just doesn't count for anything anymore.
I already subtracted it, so now I just get to use it, and that's fun.
Right. Which is why I don't carry cash around. And so we just kind of like, so as a teacher, I think I've mentioned this to you before, but you just kind of get raises every year until you hit like a certain number of years in, and then you just never get another raise. Right. And that's just how your life is. And so I got a raise this year, and we said, man, we're actually very happy with kind of the amount, like we live a very comfortable life. Let's just take all of that raise and just put it directly into the thing. And so we kind of hit a monetary milestone of money that we are saving every month. The star, though, actually, is it was like a very adult moment. And I think I hit a new level of adulthood. Mm-hmm. So there's like base level adulthood where you're like, oh, I really should save some of this money and I'm going to. Like that's base level adulthood. Like you have managed to start saving money. The next level up, and this is where I think I just hit, is that not only are you saving the money, you're like actively excited to save the money. Like doing the responsible thing is almost its own reward. You're like, oh, I feel so responsible. Like this is just, yes, I'm like living well below my means and prudently like saving money for a rainy day. Rock and roll. Like that's the level of adulthood that I'm at right now.
Man, I mean, it's been a few years, but it used to be, Dave, on this show that we had a motto, and that was "Up Your Game."
It was,
and we still try to live that up your game lifestyle, even though we don't talk about it as much. And I'm glad to hear that you're doing it.
Yeah, I am. I do. I really feel like I upped my game. It's pretty excellent. What, Matt, is our third star of the week?
Okay, we're done with the responsible stars. Or my first star wasn't responsible. It was me buying a robe. We're done with our like adult stars. Dave, I watched a terrible movie. And I did it to myself on purpose, and I took notes, and I'm very sad.
That's like, I mean, that doesn't seem like a super weird thing for you to have done.
Okay, here's the real problem. So for Spectre this month, we are, if anybody doesn't listen to it, Spectre is the podcast that Jake Mason and I do. We watch James Bond movies, and like the method by which we are watching them, the order, is that like we watched all of the James Bond actors' first movie. So we watched like Connery's first movie and Lazenby's first and only movie and Roger Moore's first movie. And so we sort of like went through it that way. And then when we finished with Daniel Craig's first movie, we looped back around to Sean Connery's second movie, right? So like that's sort of like how we're progressing through it.
Right.
And so as we hit the end of each of one of those loops, we watch sort of like a James Bond adjacent movie, right? Like something that's not...
Yeah, like a palate cleanser, right. Just to kind of... Yeah.
Like when we did it the first time, we watched the 1967 Casino Royale movie, the one with like Woody Allen and Peter Sellers and...
That
Orson
that,
Welles.
That movie's
it's very
too
weird.
Actually,
I think we talked about it.
Yeah, it maxed me out. We did. We talked about it a while ago, and it was just like I tried to watch it, and it was too much.
Yes, well,
it was just too strange.
It's 5 movies that are one movie. It's very bad. But what we are doing this month, because we are on sort of like a loop reset, and also it is Halloween times. So we're like, okay, what can we watch that is both James Bond adjacent and also like a spooky Halloween movie or like a monster flick? And eventually we got a good suggestion from Ross Butler, who listens to this show and that show, and we chat on Twitter. And he suggested that we watch Van Helsing, and that is the right answer. Unfortunately, he only told that to us after we had landed on the wrong answer and both already watched a very bad 2017 made-for-TV movie of The Saint. Because
why would you watch?
Okay, so
like there's a well, okay, I wouldn't say it's amazing, but like there is a good Saint movie. It's Val Kilmer. It's fun.
You know, I've never seen that movie.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know how.
Well,
I don't know how
it's
I
not
missed
amazing,
it.
but it's fun.
Anyway, the reason we did it is because Simon Templar, the Saint, is a master of disguise, and we're like, okay, well, you know, master of disguises, that's costumes, that's Halloween, and then also back in the 70s, I think, the 60s. Back when The Saint was a TV show, the character was played by Roger Moore. And Roger Moore actually has a cameo in this, like, new thing. This new thing was...
I did not know that.
Yeah, this new thing was going... Yeah, The Saint is a weirdly old character. It's from, like 1950s pulp novels.
Well,
Yeah.
that does explain why I like it so much, because I just kind of love pulp novels. So anyway, so you watch this very, very... bad. So wait, okay. So it's a pilot or it's a made for TV movie, which is
it was a failed pilot that they edited like the first 2 or 3 episodes that they had made together and released it as like a Netflix thing because they'd already made it and Roger Moore was in it and he died like right after that. So
yes,
they just
right. So it's just like it's his. Got it. We'll put it out for okay. Yep.
So what we're actually going to be watching this month is Van Helsing. Which is great, but now Jake and I just both have like pages and pages of notes about this like really terrible like TV thing that now I'm never gonna use, and I kind of don't know what to do with it. I got all this unreleased content, Dave.
I tell you what you should do. What you should do is leave it unreleased. Do not we don't need to hear about a terrible movie.
Okay, do you want to hear one weird thing about it?
Is it a funny thing? Because if so, yeah, totally. Like,
man, it's not even really funny, but I wrote it down and no one's going to hear it if I don't say it somewhere.
Okay, yes, please. I will do you this favor.
Okay, this movie is Assassin's Creed, but like backwards. Like, because his last name is...
You non-sneakily go to a place and heal a man? What do you...
No, it's Templars versus like assassins.
Okay.
Since the main character's name is Simon Templar, they're like, oh, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna that's not a coincidence. We're tying him in with the history of like the Knights Templar, and they're fighting an ancient brotherhood for like control of the world or something, which is just Assassin's Creed, but the good guy is a Templar, and it's very strange. Anyway, don't watch that movie, but do listen when we release the Van Helsing thing. Dave, what is our 4th star of the week?
So our 4th star of the week is yesterday, Beth and I, we took the kids down to, we're trying to figure out something to do, and I have discovered that when you have kids, you are more likely to do things that I would not do on my own. And what I mean by that is that we went to a farm, like it's like a working farm, but they have taken their working farm and turned it like, it's like 70% a working farm and 30% like an event venue / like agritourism thing. Like come out to the farm, but like
look
they're
at a
really
cow, that sort of thing.
Yeah, but like they have done a lot. They've like set up a bunch of stuff. They've got like slides and jungle gyms and like, but they're all like vaguely farm themed, right?
Okay.
So this is not something that I would have gone to on my own, but we didn't want to just like sit around. So we're like, all right, well, like we'll get out of the house. We'll go out. Like it's still one of the like last nice days out. We'll let the twins run around. Like they'll have a great time. It'll be cool. So we did. They had a blast. There was a sign at the place that basically like if you are engaging in agritourism, which is a Ohio agricultural board of whatever term. Okay. And agritourism, like that is a real thing. Agritourism. It's like go look at a cow and that's agritourism. But if you are on if you're on an agritour, I guess basically the farmer has zero liability. If I read this sign correctly, if you do something that like you should not have done, like if they have a spike pit out, that's on them. But if you if you're like on the hayride and they told you to sit down and you stood up and you are injured or like die, they're good. Like they owe you nothing.
That being the case, I'm a little surprised that more farms aren't also jungle gyms. Like, if they have zero liability for anything bad that happens to anyone there, sure, come on in, wrestle a goat. I don't care.
Get nuts, man. So that's really, like, I just kind of said all that to say, we're on our way back from that, and we passed a car, and this car had a decal on the back, and the decal was just, it was like a black and white cutout, right? And it was just a decal of Kid Rock.
Okay.
And underneath, in case you weren't sure who it was, it said Kid Rock. And I spent a solid, like 10 minutes trying to get into the head of a person who not only is like that into Kid Rock, but it's like, first of all, is that into Kid Rock in 2018? Because this was not like a super old car, right?
Okay.
So first of all, is that into Kid Rock in 2018? And B, is into Kid Rock enough that they would say that they would have a sticker of it. Because if you have a car decal, I can only think of like a handful of reasons why you would have that. And one of them is that you want everyone to know that you're into that thing, right?
Yes.
Like, for example, if you have... Like, if you really need everyone to know that, like, you're a racist, you put a Confederate flag in your back window.
Sure, right.
Like, that's... Or at least, like, even if you're not a racist, like, you're cool with everyone seeing it, thinking that you probably are.
Right. You're cool putting that one out there in the world.
Yeah. So, like... So it's either that, or you are so into something that, like, you just want to look at it all the time. Right? So you're like, you're super into racism, and so you put a Confederate flag in your back window. So you're like, oh yeah, like, let me look at this flag all the time.
You're walking out to your car, you're like, oh man, I almost forgot.
I almost forgot that I'm a terrible person. So like, and like, those are the only two versions I can think of. And I can't figure out.
I don't see someone ironically putting a Kid Rock decal on their car. Dave, here's my question. Did they have other bumper stickers?
No, it was just one.
Okay,
and let me be clear.
See, I was really hoping there was a few.
No, there weren't. And it wasn't actually it was not a bumper sticker. It was like a window decal. Like, it wasn't huge. It was like the size of like a small dinner plate. But it was like
big.
Definitely noticeable. Like, it's definitely bigger than any Kid Rock decorations I have.
Sure.
Mathematically speaking, it's infinitely larger, so...
I do have one decal on my car. It was there when I bought the car, and the only reason I haven't taken it off is it's from some sort of like South Beach thing. But as it happens, the letters on this bumper sticker are SSB.
Well, that really works for us, yeah.
And since we are the Super Sentai Brothers, I like that a lot, and so I left it on.
So anyways, like, man, I don't know. First of all, if you dig Kid Rock, I don't, like, that's fine. Although I've probably alienated you with that Confederate flag joke. So if you're still listening, like, you could let us know what maybe would put someone's head in that space where they would want that decal. What, Matt, is our 5th star of the week?
Dave, our 5th star of the week is Sonic the Danged Hedgehog.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I would not have anticipated that to be our 5th star of the week, Matt.
Well, I wasn't expecting a 5-minute discussion about Kid Rock, but here we are. So the other day, I finished the new Tomb Raider game, and the next game that I want to play, I think I'm going to get that new Fallout 76 game, but it's not out for another couple of weeks.
Let me know how it is. Yeah.
It's not out for a couple of weeks, and so I thought I should get a different game, but I didn't want to get like a big game, you know? So I was going through the eShop, and I saw a few games that I was interested in. So I put it out on Twitter, like, hey, which one of these should I get? And the far and away winner was Sonic Mania, the new Sonic game from last year, which is like maybe it was earlier this year even. It's a new Sonic the Hedgehog game, but it is in the style of the 16-bit like original Sonic the Hedgehog games.
Oh, well, that's cool.
To the point where the first level is like Green Hill Zone, which is the first level of the first Sonic game.
Yeah, wow, dang, okay.
It's just like a remixed version of that, and as you go through the game, it's like... Anyway, it's an extremely good, very well-polished, probably the actual best of those Sonic the Hedgehog games, and so I am enjoying it. But here's the thing, Dave. We were never Sonic guys. We never had a Genesis, right?
Yeah, that is correct.
We were always Nintendo kids. In fact,
yeah, because we made good decisions.
You one time wrote a school paper about why it was a better decision to have a Super Nintendo than a Sega Genesis.
Did I really?
Yeah, you came up with a series. I don't know why I remember this, but you came up with this series of like arguments about like, well, like if you do price comparison, and also if you look at like which system has like more like great games. I do not. Unless I don't think I did this. I have a very clear memory of you doing it.
No, this very much sounds like something I would have done rather than you.
Right, like you had to write a persuasive paper in like 6th grade or something, and you wrote it on the subject of why the Sega Genesis sucks real bad.
It sounds like what I did is made a very reasoned argument as to why the Nintendo is the superior choice, and not having read it, I stand by that argument.
I mean, you have read it, Dave. I can guarantee you that. If anyone has read it, it is you. Anyway, so I am enjoying this game, but it is reminding me, like, A, Sonic games were never as good as Mario games, even like this actual good one. And B, I am terrible at Sonic the Hedgehog games, because, like, you know how you have sort of, like, muscle memory of how to play games that you grew up on? So, like, even if there's a new Mario game that I've never played, I have played enough Mario games over the years that I can play that Mario game. But with this Sonic the Hedgehog game, I am trying my best to do it and just utterly failing. Like, I have not been as frustrated by a kinda hard video game in a very long time. And it's not even a hard video game. It's just a kind of hard video game that I'm awful at.
Right. I actually, I read something about this. You know what you should do? Is stop playing that game. No, just stop playing that game because you're an adult and you don't need frustration for your leisure time. Stop playing that hard game.
Maybe I will. We'll see. I'd like to stick with it because it is, when you get it right, like, there are moments of the game that are very fun. Like, did you know Sonic goes real fast?
Yeah, that's like his whole thing, actually.
He goes extremely fast, and when you're going that fast, it feels very good. But we will see. Maybe I'll give you a Sonic update later. But now, Dave, we've got a different thing to talk about. We've got a strong, beautiful thing to talk about. In fact, the strongest, most beautiful thing. It is episode 44, The Strongest Beauty on Earth. We're going to take a break, and we will be right back. Okay, welcome back. So, episode 44, The Strongest Beauty on Earth. Dave, it ruled. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, it was a very, very, very good episode. As Matt said, we actually had already watched this episode, so that was just a little quick drink break right there.
Yep. We watched this episode a week ago.
Yeah. Okay, listen, we were going to try and get ahead so that we could just be ahead, and then we didn't. So I don't know why, and nobody cares about this, Matt. Let's talk about this very good episode of Super Sentai Brothers.
Well, the reason I brought it up is because I have very detailed notes, but it has been a week since I've seen this episode, so it might get a little weird as I try to remember it.
It might, but there are a few big moments that are really like burned into my mind, so I'm going to try and orient myself around those things. So we open up, the Rangers are in their they've just got like a Jeep, basically, and it's not even like a super Jeep.
Right. This is not a Jeep that you would ever have been able to buy a toy of.
Yeah, like the Die Rangers had a Jeep, but it was like a super Jeep. And like Raita had a Jeep. There was like a gun on top. This is just like a Jeep. So they're driving around, and there is an injured dog in the street. We stop for the dog, like you do, and Gora hops out. They pick up the dog, and they're like, oh, this poor dog. And the dog's owner runs up, and it is I think the woman is supposed to be like very, very attractive.
Yeah.
She's not. I mean, listen, she's a very average person, but like for the story's purposes, like this woman is stunningly beautiful. All right.
I don't know why you felt the need to dunk on this actually very pretty woman.
Well, okay. Sorry, listen, well, now I feel weird about it. I thought she was just, the reason I mentioned it is because I thought it was just going to be a woman who walked up and she got her dog. And then when the Rangers were like, I was like, oh, okay, this is like a plot point that she's
that
like
sound
super
effect
attractive.
that you were making, I think, is the audio equivalent of in old cartoons someone's head turning into a wolf and then their tongue falls out of their mouth.
Yeah, and then their eyes do the like a wooga thing. Yeah, that's exactly where I was going with that. So the Rangers are sort of like tripping over them. The three male Rangers, I should specify, are tripping over themselves trying to impress this woman.
Mm-hmm. Her name is Ai, which means love in Japanese. I believe that is what is in my notes, and I choose to believe myself from a week ago.
You're usually trustworthy.
Usually. So not only are they like already kind of tripping over themselves to impress this woman, and as soon as she walks up, they're like, oh, like they had been kind of into this dog. But as soon as she walks up and it's like, oh man, it's her dog, they immediately get super into this dog. Like, oh man, you have the best dog. Let me talk to you about it so that we can talk about something and that you can see me as a cool person.
Yeah, they do. They also mentioned something about like they tip in on like the Princess Multi-Wall like dog pun joke, like whatever the dog is, like they reference.
The dog is a
reference
Maltese.
This. Oh, okay, that must be it.
Yeah, so they say like, oh man, like what a difference just a few letters makes between Multiwa and Maltese, because this dog rules and Princess Multiwa is terrible. Or Empress Multiwa, I guess. Sorry, I didn't mean to also dunk on her. Anyway, she gives like a wink, and that wink like brainwashes the dudes. So they are now like magically infatuated with her.
Yeah. And so her first command to them is, listen, I want you to go get me the most important thing in your life.
Yes, the most valuable thing.
Right. So we go from there to the moon, and Acha and Kocha are complimenting Kaiser Bolden on this plan. They're like, this is an amazing plan, because obviously the Rangers are going to go get O-Blocker. Right. Like, that's clearly the most valuable thing in their lives. They're going to go get it, and then we will have O-Blocker, and we'll destroy it, and then we can take over Earth.
Right. Now,
which is, in fact, probably a very good plan.
Sure. Now, what would have been a slightly better plan is for her to have just said, hey, go get me O-Blocker.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is that, like, maybe the hypnosis only goes, like, so deep. You know, it's like, oh, you can hypnotize someone, but not to, like, kill themselves. And so she can't say, go get me O-Blocker. She just says, like, go get me your biggest and like somehow that's okay.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So anyways, and here we find out this, I think, is my favorite Goro moment in this entire series so far.
Yeah, this episode, like, in this upcoming scene, kind of gives us more, like, character development for all three of the male Rangers than we have gotten all season.
Yeah. So Goro shows up. So we're back on Earth, like, we're back in the park. And who is, like, very obviously Princess Multiwa, is there. And Goro comes up. And he's got this like cloth bundle, and she says, well, what's this? And he says, well, you wanted the most important thing in my life, and here it is. And he unwraps it, and he says, this is a letter from my mother.
The longest one she has ever sent me.
Yeah, and it is, like, it's kind of wild. It's like a, I'm assuming this is like sort of a traditional Japanese thing. The idea basically is that it's like a scroll. If you've never seen one of these things, I hadn't. It's like a scroll, but instead of the paper being like wound around a central dowel, it's like folded, and then there's like a solid front and back, and then you can sort of like tie it together.
Yeah, it's folded sort of like into... It's the same shape as like a rectangular pamphlet that you would find at like a museum or something, except this one is like 3 inches thick.
Yeah, and so he like takes the top off and just sort of tosses it. And this thing is like, again, it's like 5.5 feet long. It's amazing. And he just starts reading her this letter. And we find out, so first of all, we find out that Goro is a very good boy. Like,
yes, he loves
the most important thing
much.
is this letter from his mother, which love it. We also find out that Goro is from the frozen north. And his mother tells him, like, you're from the frozen north. You can endure anything. Like anytime you're feeling down, just know that like your mother like love you and believe. It's a great letter.
Yeah, and he says,
and
like,
the
listen,
actor
he's like
is really into it.
Yeah, and like I think Acha and Kocha are crying.
Yeah, they are moved.
On this.
Yeah, my notes say Acha and Kocha are moved by the sincerity and power of this letter. Like, this letter rules.
Yeah, so what he says is like, listen, like I'm the leader of the Ohrangers, and being the leader of the Ohrangers is very difficult, and sometimes I get discouraged. And whenever I feel that way, I read this encouraging letter from my mother, and it reminds me of everything that's like valuable and good, and it really like brings me back. Like, this letter from my mother is more important to me than life itself.
Yeah, it's amazing. Shohei shows up. Shohei shows up, and he has brought his free ramen tickets.
Yes, he has coupons for free ramen at his favorite ramen place.
And she's like, what are you talking about? He's like, no, you don't even understand how good this ramen is.
You've got to try some.
You've got to try it. It's so amazing. And then Yude shows up, and he has withdrawn his life savings of $400. And that's the thing.
Dave, it is less than that. It was 3,892 yen, which currently, and I don't know what the sort of like time, like inflation or whatever, but that amount of money is currently translated to US dollars $34.69.
Oh, gee, no, yeah, I moved at decimal place. You're totally right. So it would have been more than. So it would have been like $100 or something.
Maybe, yeah, but still, like
Acha and Kocha, by the way, are watching this whole thing. They do get some shade in about how the Rangers clearly just don't get paid very much,
right? Like,
which I thought was great.
Saving the world doesn't pay very well.
And so once Kaiser Bolden realizes this plan is bad, actually, he just says, he's like, no, forget this. Just attack. So she transforms. She transforms into Princess Multiwa, and they're furious. And they just attack. It's great.
Yeah, her dog also transforms because her dog was a machine beast called Baragard.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Oh, the Girl Rangers do arrive at this point, and they give the guys some attitude about falling for this. They're like, we cannot believe. Like, are you serious? Are you serious that you actually fell for this? I don't think the guys even have a response. I think they also feel bad. So they henshin. As Matt said, the dog becomes Baragard. There's a fight, and the Rangers are losing very badly.
Right. Well, they haven't henshined at all. They're just like fighting I don't know if they feel like they haven't had time to henshin, but they are...
I thought they did henshin. Okay.
I don't think so, no. Because Momo is going to henshin in a minute, and it's going to be very funny.
So, Beauregard has acquired he has a spear and shield kind of out of nowhere, but it looks cool. And things are about to go very badly for the Rangers. And suddenly, there's a comet and an explosion, and the Rangers are saved. And of course, it's Gunmagin. Gunmagin is back. So Momo says, like, oh my gosh, like, I'm going to go ask Gunmagin for help. And the other Rangers are like, oh man, should you though?
This does not always go super great.
Like, yes, we are losing this fight, but like asking Gunmagin for help, we maybe shouldn't do that. And she says, no, like this is, you just have to figure out the right wish. So she runs over. She grabs the key.
Yeah, she does the whole thing.
And her wish, she wishes for Gunmagin. She wishes for a warrior who will be reliable and will fight with her to defeat the enemy. And Gunmagin's like, awesome, no problem. I can grant that wish without even trying. And she's like, great. And he says,
I know the perfect guy. He's extremely handsome.
And in fact, he's already here. And Momo, I don't know if she's just playing along at this point or if she's genuinely confused, but she says, what? Amazing. Where is he? And Gunmagin's like, who's got two thumbs and is an amazing, reliable warrior who will fight with you to defeat your enemies?
It's this guy.
And so Gunmagin, she henshins. Oh, no, wait. No, she doesn't.
Right.
So Gunmagin says, hey, other Rangers, y'all can like go get a coffee. Lady Momo and I have got this.
Right.
No worries.
I have sworn like to fulfill her wish. Her wish is that she needs someone to help her do this fight. And so we got this. Her and I together, you could just chill.
Yeah. Matt, you go ahead and say what happens next.
So Gunmagin is like, all right, Lady Momo, let's do this. He sort of circles around, so he's standing behind Momo. And he grabs both of her hands, and then he like moves her arms around in like the same pattern that Momo does when she henshins. And he's like, all right, let's do this thing. And just
but it does work. Like she does henshin.
Oh yeah. And then the two of them get into this fight with Buldont and Multiwa and Beauregard. And like at first it's actually kind of going great.
Yeah, it probably would have gone terribly, except for the fact that you don't think about it all the time, but Gunmagin is super, super strong.
Right, like, he is not strong enough that he can win this fight on his own, and of course, the other Rangers should be helping, but they're not. They're just standing off to the side, spectating.
Yeah, they're just kind of waiting to see how this one plays out. So, first thing, the Emperor and Kaiser Buldont and Empress Multiwa have nicknames for each other, which is awesome. And I think it's just like Multi and Bully or something.
Yeah.
But I like that they have developed these. So they do their joint love attack.
I thought that was going to be a one-time thing when they used it to defeat Bomber the Great. I am very glad
I kind
to
of
see
assumed
it
was me too. And then Gunmagin and Momo just now created a team attack. It's like a defensive shield, which is great.
It's in the shape of a heart, which is very fun.
Yeah, love it. So the Empress and so Multiwa and Kaiser Buldont sort of realize that, like, okay, this actually isn't going well. Hey, wait a minute. There are 4 of our enemies just kind of chilling out over there. Let's maybe attack them. So she turns back to her human form. Like, it's sort of weird. Like, there's an attack, and then, like, we kind of get a scene shift, and then she's already back in her human form, and she hypnotizes the guys again.
Yes. So the guys are all trying to attack Jury because they have been hypnotized.
Yeah, and Jury is furious. She's trying to attack the Empress.
Yeah. So Momo says to Gunmagin, like, oh, hey, I got this over here. You need to go help Jury. She is, like, totally outnumbered. And Gunmagin, because he is Gunmagin, is like, no, I promised to help you. I need to help you to prove that I'm reliable.
Yeah, like, I'm going to protect
that means
you
that
first.
I guess Jury's going to die.
I pinky swore. Yeah.
Oh, they did pinky swear.
Yeah, they did. So, Juri's attack against Empress Multiwa has not gone well because Empress Multiwa is very, very strong and Juri rules, but she's not that strong. So Empress has like a knife. She's just straight up going to stab Juri in the neck. So Momo just turns around, slaps Gunmagin, and is like, I can't believe I thought this was going to work. You're so useless. And she just runs over to help. But she can't get there because the Empress has commanded the male Rangers to like defend her. So now it's like Momo trying to fight her way through the three guys while the Empress has... I don't remember why she hasn't stabbed Juri yet, aside from the fact that this is a children's television show.
I mean,
she has some reason
she was trying to, and Juri was like preventing it.
Oh, okay, right on.
You know, like there was a knife on her neck, and Juri was like struggling with her. But now that Momo is in danger because she is fighting all the guys, that triggers Gunmagin to run over and start helping again.
Yeah. So Gunmagin basically solos the rest of the male Rangers. He's like he takes them out.
But then eventually,
he can't.
He cannot win this fight on his own, and so he gets like knocked. He's not knocked out, but he is definitely like, stunned, knocked down, whatever. And Momo turns to him and is like, "Hey, dude, you are gravely injured. Like, you need to run. Get out of here. It's not going well for you." But Gunmagin has promised to be reliable, and he's going to keep his promise.
He's like, you can't ask me to turn my back to the enemy. Like, I can't do it. So he just sort of like stands up and like takes the body shots that the other Rangers are, like for the other Rangers. And he goes down.
Yes.
At this point, and this might be my favorite captain moment. Or chief moment for the series as well. So he shows up to Empress Multiwa. Like, he just kind of comes out of the background and he's like, I will force you to show your true colors. And she's like, oh yeah, sure. Like, whatever, non-superhero human, taste my hypnosis. So she does her like wink hypnosis. And the chief is just like, no, that's not gonna work. And she's like, wait, what? And he just says, when a man reaches my age, he will not lose his heart to any woman, no matter how beautiful. And that's it.
Right.
Like,
he's
just
up.
like, no, man.
Like, I'm an adult. Like, I have maturity and discretion. It's cool.
Like, dumb hypnosis doesn't work on me. And the fact that it doesn't work on him, I guess, is enough to like cause a, I don't know, hypnosis feedback loop, and it frees the other guys as well. And then the captain straight up like Sparta kicks her off of a cliff. It's amazing. So the Rangers are now reunited. Like, everybody's good. They're about to henshin, but Gunmagin stops them. He's like, no, I really need to do this.
Like, I have sworn to fulfill this wish, and I am going to do it. And everyone looks at him very seriously, and is like, okay. And then he turns around, and he immediately gets shot and falls over.
Yeah. So then the Rangers are like, oh, no, maybe we made the wrong call here. We should not have let him do that. So they do all henshin. And then Kaiser Bulldown and Empress Multiwa do like a combined energy blast. And the Rangers, they've never done this before, but they just sort of lock arms around Gunmagin and create like a force field.
Yeah, it's like this multicolored energy field. We've never seen them do it before. They don't mention that they've like, oh yeah, our weird defense like beam power. Cool.
Yeah.
It just happens.
Yeah. So then they do their spinning energy, like where they all turn into like spinning energy balls. And they do that on Beauregard, who goes down, and then he goes giant. And then they summon their robots, and they're,
And then it's a big robot fight. Like,
yeah, then it's like a big robot fight. Do you summon Tackle Boy, which is great.
Yes,
Love Tackle Boy.
because Tackle Boy rules.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm sorry. Tackle Boy does not finish the job. Tackle Boy, like, stuns Beauregard and like gets him primed to be destroyed. And then Momo tells Gunmejin like, "Hey, you should finish him off." And then Gunmejin like actually does the thing.
Yeah, the one thing. Okay, so they summon Tackle Boy, and he shoots out as like a robot, and then he turns into a wheel, and then they bowl him at the enemy. But like right before he hits the enemy, he turns back into his humanoid form. But then he like turns into a fireball and hits them as like a humanoid fireball. And I don't understand why he wouldn't just stay as a wheel. Like it seems like it would make much more sense.
I couldn't tell you, man. I mean,
but whatever.
He rules, I can tell you that much. But any more than that, we don't have a lot of details on the life and times of Tackle Boy.
Yeah. So that's basically it.
Yeah. So
I guess like Kaiser Bulldo and Empress Multiwild, like, well, they killed the monster. Time to retreat.
Yeah. So they head off. Gunmejin praises the teamwork of the Ohrangers. He's like, yeah, like you all worked together and actually made this thing happen. And then they all say, like, you know what, Gunmejin, like, you know, you not only were you helpful like in the fight, but it was very good that you did all of the things you did today because it really taught us a valuable lesson about making sure that you always keep your word, even if it's difficult. And it is important to keep your word even if it's difficult, except that maybe this is not the best example of that.
Yeah.
Because this is not keeping your word when it's difficult. This is keeping your word even if it is actively detrimental to the people you're trying to help.
Yeah, Gunmejin is not like a great example,
but he has a good heart, and he was feeling down, and they were trying to like encourage him. So they all like thank him and cheer him. And as he turns like back into like his little like head form, the tiny guy, then that turns into like a cartoon head, and it blushes, and then it flies away. And as they do, people say like, yeah, like keep fighting along with us, Gunmejin. But I don't know if
Gunmejin like he did definitely just
like,
leave. That dude's gone.
But like I don't know if he's in any other episodes. Like, this might be it for old Gunmejin.
Yeah, no, I mean, I really hope. I hope he is in more episodes, because we have talked Gunmejin does rule.
Right, Gunmejin has had more character development than Yuji. Which is weird, but totally true. Like, really, tell me something about Yuji, Dave. Something.
He does gymnastics.
He does gymnastics.
And he either is paid very poorly or spends his money irresponsibly.
Yeah, he doesn't have a brother. I remember that. Right? From earlier in the Cactus
I honestly
episode?
could not tell you. Matt, I honestly could not tell you. So
yeah, like, man, I know nothing about almost any of these characters. I like them all, but it is hard to get into the specifics. But Dave, that is a problem for another day. Specifically, like a day about a month and a half from now when we are wrapping up the series. But
yes,
we have one more thing to do because the show's episode is over, but ours is not. And we need to determine where Beauregard falls in the Creature Royale. I think it's pretty low because
I think it's very low. Like he basically, okay, to be totally honest, I think he's about at the bottom. I think he's only really going to be above the monsters that are like actively awful, or like he's better than Father Magnet in that he is not defeated by his own powers.
Yeah, but I mean, Father Magnet was at least like interesting. Like we put Father Magnet at the bottom as like a goof because like he botched so badly. But, like, at least he's a character. Like, he doesn't offend me. So that's why he's above Bara Vacuum and General Cactus. And
Bara
Nightmare.
Okay, so...
But, like, Beauregard is just nothing.
Yeah, he's, like, basically non-existent.
I mean, maybe if you want to put him higher, he can't go higher than Torpedo Piranha.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Definitely not. He's not as cool as Barra Ivy. Barra Ivy at least like looked kind of rad.
Did Barra Ivy look rad? I do not remember Barra Ivy
Yeah,
at all.
Barra Ivy, like, did like a weird amalgamated form with like the robot dude who built a robot son, if I recall correctly. So no, okay. So I think he's honestly, yeah, he's even below Barra Vacuum because Barra Vacuum is at least interesting. Yeah, Barragard sucks.
Yeah.
But he's still better than General Cactus and Barra Nightmare.
Sure, exactly. Like there's nothing offensive about Barragard. He's just a big pile of nothing. I watched this episode a week ago. I can barely remember what he looked like.
He's got I don't know, he's like a big robot, metal robot, and he's got a spear and a shield. Okay, well that's it, man.
Well, that's going to do it for another episode of For Your Eyes, Ohranger. Before we finish up here, I'd like to remind you that you can email the show at supersentaibrothers@gmail.com. If you want to get any updates on future episodes or check out the things that we're talking about on Twitter, we are at Super Sentai Bros. If you like the show, please remember that shining in the iTunes review section there are 5 stars. Rate, review, subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever it is that you get the show. We're on a couple of different platforms. That makes us feel good, and it helps other people find the show. The Super Sentai Brothers are a production of Retrograde Orbit Radio. To find any of the other great Retrograde Orbit Radio shows, you can do it all at retrogradeorbitradio.com. Once again, we are the Super Sentai Brothers. I'm Matt.
I'm Dave.
And we'll see you next week for the greatest show on Earth.